I always find that light to be super bright when I turn it on. And I've forgotten to do my sign again. So I'll be right back. Every time. Okay. What am I streaming today? So today I want to dive a little bit further into the Features API that I demoed very quickly last week, and the WordPress MCP plugin that I used last week. If you missed last week's stream, you can find it on my YouTube channel. I essentially connected, just get the link here. Just pop that in the chat. I essentially connected my WordPress site to Cursor and was able to run tools using the WordPress MCP plugin. Today I want to dive more into the Features API plugin, kind of go through what that does, how it works. However, if you want a little bit more of a deep dive into the Features plugin, my friend Elliot Richmond did a very cool video where he shares an overview of what the plugin does and how it works. So I do recommend checking that out after this. But the way I understand all of this to work is that, I don't know why that opened in a new window. The Feature API, the goal of the Feature API is to expose WordPress functionality. It says here, exposing WordPress functionality in a standardized, discoverable way for both server and client-side use. It's designed to make WordPress use functionality accessible to AI systems, but not specifically for AI systems. So the idea is that any system can access these features. Now, how this works is that existing functionality like REST API endpoints are reused as features, making them more discoverable and easier to use by LLMs. So an LLM system can't make a request to a REST API endpoint, for example. It needs to use this model context protocol. And so to be able to do that, you need features registered to use them with MCP. At the moment, the one thing that I'm not 100% sure of is how MCP code and the Feature API code is supposed to work together. Because, for example, and let me dive into some code quickly. If you have a look at WordPress MCP, for example, and let's go and have a look at the site info tool. So the site info tool registers the tool called get site info and then has a callback. And the callback get site info then fetches the site info and returns it. So that's how the tool gets the information from the WordPress site to send it back to the AI system. If we have a look at the Feature API, there are some default features, for example, things like categories, posts. So for example, there are these core post features, and they're mapped to a REST API alias. But the WordPress MCP plugin also has a posts tool. And just like the site info tool, the post tool uses the existing route. So it feels like there's a duplication of functionality across these two plugins in certain spaces, specifically with core default functionality, like fetching posts or whatever the case may be. And so I'm not quite sure. I've been trying to get some answers around, will the WordPress MCP tools eventually only use features registered by the Feature API. It does say in the Feature API README that the goal is to eventually get this merged into core, or try and get this merged into core. That's the idea. So the idea being that this plugin will allow you to expose core features, and then however you implement those features will determine what you do with them. So the README does say features are not limited to LLM consumption and can be used throughout WordPress directly as a primitive API for generic functionality. So I'm still not 100% fully understanding how all this fits together, but I'm hoping I'll get there eventually. So what I want to do now is I want to enable both of these on my local site and then configure my cursor environment to connect and just get a feel for what tools are registered. And then I want to see, so something that I've been wanting to do for a while is build some kind of workflow around uploading markup content to Sensei. So a little bit of background there. I work a lot in Sensei because of the course content that I create for various platforms, both internally at Automatic and Learn WordPress. And I store all of my content in Markdown, and then I copy it over to Sensei and add lessons and all of that. And I've got a pretty decent manual process in place that works pretty well. But I want to see if I can create some tools that I can use. So for example, I can open up my repository with all of my lessons, and then for each lesson, tell the AI agent to upload the post to the course, upload the post content, store it as block markup, convert it to block markup, add any images, update any code blocks as required. So that's kind of the idea that I've got in my head of what I want to build. I'm still not sure how it's going to work, so I'm going to be doing a lot of reading, I guess, today, and a lot of testing and trying. But that's kind of where I want to go with this. So as a base, what I've done, just close all of these down. I've got my coursework here in PHP Storm, just in case I need to refer to it. And then I've got my local WordPress site here in Cursor, where I've got the MCP plugin and the Feature API plugin installed. This is my local site. So let's just close some windows down. And I've got Sensei installed. If we go to the plugins, I think I need to enable the plugins. So I think I need to enable that. Okay, so that's the demo. I want to disable this demo. I don't want this to be coming up, so I'm going to just do that quickly in my config. Probably needs to be, no, it's probably just false. Okay, so let's make sure that, okay, so that's, I'm going to just skip that setup. To prevent issues with Sensei module names, email address should also belong to administrator. Let's change that quickly. There's my profile. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy the admin. No, I'm going to copy the admin because this is local. I'm going to change email address here. Okay. All right, fine. Doesn't like localhost. All right, fine. Let's change the admin's email address. Good grief. I'm just going to ignore that message. I don't care. All right. So one thing I want to check is last week when I was doing this, enable the WordPress Features adapter. This option only works when MCP is enabled. Last week when I disabled that, things broke. Doesn't seem to be the case anymore. It seems to be fine. Okay, so it might have just been a bug somewhere. All right, that's fine. I'm guessing I need these things enabled. Okay. Now what I want to do is read through some docs here. So activate, optional, the demo, basic usage. So you can create your own plugins. You can register a feature. So you can register your own custom features. And you can then call those features. And this is where you probably would then use it in the MCP tool. So let's just see here, registering features. Okay, so that talks about all the different features. Simple resource. Resource with callback. Or a REST alias. Okay. Okay. So that all makes a lot of sense. I have a feeling that the features I might need to register, I might not need. I might just be able to do what I want with the default MCP tools. So let's give it a try. So the first thing that I want to do is I want to try and I wonder if Copilot in PHP Storm supports MCP yet. Probably not. So I'm going to have to do this in VS Code. So let's do that. So I'm going to open up my... No, that's not what I need. It's that one. So this is my beginner developer learning pathway. So let's open that up. So here's all my markup. No, I don't need that. I want to register MCP for Copilot. How do I do that? I think I've seen this. GitHub Copilot. I'm not sure if this is going to work though, so let's just see. Model context protocol. There it is. Okay, so VS Code MCP.json. Right. Configuration script. VS Code MCP.json. Okay. This is not great. Okay, let's just have a look in Cursor first. I'll come back to. I want to build some code in Cursor in a second, but for now I'm just gonna open up that folder in Cursor. So let's close the folder. Load this code. It's no, not project. Okay, there we go. All right, now let's add. Just ignore that for now. This is going to add global servers. I don't want global servers, but what I am going to do is I'm going to grab that. And I'm going to grab this whole thing. Okay, so now there's no more global servers. Oh. Project cursor.mcp.json. So I'm just going to do this quickly. I just want to add an empty so that error goes away. There we go. So it's cursor mcp.json. So let's create a new folder. Cursor mcp.json. And let's put that in there. I'm not going to enable it yet. I want to first set up password here. Let's revoke that one. I can't remember what that was. So let's say, yeah, whatever. It's not important whatever that label is. Okay, let's copy that and localhost colon 8833. Admin, and the password was there. And so we'll just go local MCP. Okay. I like the fact that it takes it and asks me to enable it. It's cool. So now let's project manage. Let's refresh. Seems to be getting errors. Wonder why that is. View output cursor MCP. View output cursor MCP error. Wonder why that is. Let's see. Oh, because I think that's wrong. Let's try again. No. Oh, it's 8883. That's why. Yay! Okay. Found tools. Perfect. Okay. So those are all the tools registered through the MCP plugin. So it's post, search, get post, add post, update post, list categories, add category, update category, list tags, add tag, get site info, user search, get user. Okay. So now the first thing I want to try is I want to try searching for a lesson, which is essentially a post, with the same title as the lesson in Markdown, and adding the content to it. So that's the first step. So let's see if we can get that to work. So here's the first lesson, WordPress and web servers. Okay. So let's see if the agent can understand this. Find the Sensei lesson title. Find the Sensei lesson. Wait. Find and update the Sensei lesson with the lesson content from the Markdown file. That's not going to work. Don't think that's going to work. I think what we might need to do is give it some cursor rules for that to work. But that's the kind of command that I want to be able to give it. Is it? I want it to know that WordPress install has Sensei on it, and that lessons are custom post types. So I want the prompt that I send it to be pretty quick. I just want to see what this does first. Then now it's trying to search the code base. It's not finding it. It's calling MCP tool. Okay, that's cool. Is it going to find the post though? I need to figure out how to tell this thing to run the tool every time. But I'm happy to do it manually for now. Still searching. I have a feeling it's not going to find it because Sensei lessons, while they are custom post types, are specific custom post type, and I don't know where the post search is going to find specific posts. Let's see what it finds. Looks like it found something. Looks like it found something. Huh. Okay. Let's see what that did. No. So what did it do? Did it add a post? It added a post. That's exactly what it did. Okay, so we definitely need to, it added it, it hasn't, it added it as a classic edit block, which was expected. So yeah, I think we definitely need some. Hey Carolina. I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. Sorry if I'm not. Okay, so we definitely need to be able to tell it to search. Oh, you know what the other problem is? I don't think, let me just see here, lessons. It was just called web servers. Okay, let's do a quick search here. Search. Thank you, you're too kind. Search Sensei for a lesson titled web servers and return the current content. I didn't spell that properly, but let's see what that does. While that's doing that, how do I tell cursor to automatically run tools? Cursor automatically run MCP tools. Ah, is there a setting somewhere? Auto run. Agent mode. Yeah. Tool settings, auto run. How do I enable YOLO mode? It's got to be in the settings somewhere. Okay. Now you see, this is just a current Sensei lesson titled WordPress. It's finding the post. It's not finding the lesson. Okay, so let's go to posts. Let's bin this. Let's just bin this draft because I don't know why that's there. Let's go back to trash. And let's just delete all of these. Okay. Then let's go and enable YOLO mode, which is probably here in the settings somewhere. Chat. Enable auto run mode. Allow agent to run tools without asking for a computer touch. Okay, cool. Auto run mode runs any commands based on the allow list and deny set. Be cautious of potential prompt injection. Okay, cool. Okay, I'm going to leave that for now. I wish there was a way you could just enable it for tools. Indeed, which is why I don't have it on. I wish there was a way you could just say YOLO mode for MCP tools. That would be more beneficial because I want the tools to run. I don't necessarily want commands to run. I don't want to have to specify an allowed list to deny certain commands. That just, I would prefer it to just enable per thing, but it is what it is. We'll just have to keep an eye on it. I don't see myself running any commands today, so we should be fine. Okay, let's try this again. So let's open a new window and let's start. Let's do this. I'm going to open up the website in PHP Storm, so I have that available. Fortunately, I don't have a cat in this office. My cats are all at home. That's one of the reasons why I have an office. Because we have 2 cats and 2 dogs. And our ginger cat, who is very, very young. Not very, very young. He's probably about 2 now. He was probably about a year old when we adopted him. He was a wild cat when we adopted him. He is likely to jump on keyboards, so that's why I don't work from home. I don't mind sharing this. If you go to my Blue Sky profile, you will see that the picture of me on Blue Sky is a picture of me with, how do I find it? With said ginger boy. He loves climbing up on my shoulders and just being a pain, so that's him. Okay. What was I doing? Oh yes, I was opening up the WordPress site. Let's do that. Okay, so what I want to do now is I just want to have a look at the get posts tool in the MCP we might be able to actually register a tool just for lessons today. That might be today's fun and games. But the post search basically fetches from posts. Probably passes the search just as you would with a normal search. So let's just check. Let me open our Postman. Let me just do a post search on my localhost. So I'm just going to create a new. What do I create a new? No, how do I create a new workspace? Collection, that's what I need. Blank collection. Let's call it video. I don't know what to call it. I'm going to call it 8883 because that's the port that the site is running on. And I'm just going to grab the get posts by there. I'm going to duplicate that and I'm going to move that into there. Oh, why can't I move that into there? Good grief. Okay, I'm just going to copy this out. It's just easier. And to add a request, it's going to be a request to the local site. Get posts. That should just work. There's an error there somewhere. I've done something wrong. Yeah, there we go. And then I can't remember how to search. WREST API search query. Do I want search results? No, I don't want search results. It's got a posts. Oh, it's probably search. There we go. Limits results to those matching a string. So it's probably going to be something like, I haven't done this in a while. Query string search. Let's give it a title. So let's say demoing. Let's just go demoing, a little bit easier. I think you can do query strings like that. I think so. Okay, that returned one post, hopefully. Yes, that returned one post. So that's essentially what the get post thing is doing. Let's just verify that it won't find the lesson, which is what I expected. So it's just called web servers. It's probably because it's in draft mode. But let me just see. Web servers. Yeah, that definitely doesn't turn the one that I want. I just want to get the titles. Just see here. Trying to remember. It's an endpoints request. I'm trying to remember what the global arguments are. Where is that? In the reference? No. Oh, it's in the using. Global parameters, there we go. Fields, there we go. Fields equals. Where's Postman? There it is. And fields equals. This is author ID title link. There we go. Okay, so that's definitely not getting what I want. because it's that's the next thing I'm going to check, because it's not a post, it's a lesson. So I think Sensei does have a lessons. Let's try it. Let's see. So let's duplicate this. And let's call it get lessons. And let's search lessons. I remember trying to do this a while back. And so I think that's because it's not published. I think if I publish it, it'll come up. But I remember on Learn WordPress, because you had to be logged in to view the content, you couldn't return lessons inside courses or something like that. So I can't remember 100% sure, but let me do this. There is a way, if you pass in the context to a REST API endpoint with a username and password, you'll get draft posts. So that's essentially what I want to be able to do. So let me use the same password that I created for this one. And let me set that up in the authorization, basic auth, admin. I'm going to just pop the password in here for now because it's a local password, so I don't care. And let's send. Okay. Let me just publish a lesson and see if that. No. Yeah, let me publish a lesson. Well, that's maybe the tool that I want to create, is getting it to publish it for me. So let me publish this one, just see if I get it in the response. I think it's lessons. Yes, there it is. Okay, so it is lessons. And currently it's only getting published lessons. That's fine. So what I want to now do is set this back to draft mode, because I want this to be able to work with drafts. And then, I mean, I could probably ask the AI tool to do this for me, but I'm pretty sure I remember. Actually, let's do that. Use Perplexity to help me remember how do I set the context query, the context argument WordPress REST API request to make the request in the context of, I think it's editor or edit context, or in the edit context. I think it's edit. I know it's in the doc somewhere, but let the AI tool figure it out for me. There you go. It's as simple as context edit. So this will only work if you are an authenticated user. So I should be able to go and do that and send that, and that didn't work. Boo. That's interesting. I wonder if it must be, yeah, that I am. Authentication can be provided by cookies. Oh, it looks like you can only, no, you can send it to post, but according to this you can. That's interesting. I wonder if it's a Sensei issue. Hey, Troy. Just check this on posts. Oh, this person isn't authorized. Yeah, that works. So it must be something to do with lessons. Interesting. I wonder if lessons don't have. I wonder if the REST requests or the custom endpoints. No, but it's just default. I don't understand why that doesn't work. Okay. Let's go a different way. Let's register a tool to fetch lessons in MCP and pass it. It must be possible to get the lesson content in the edit context, because how else would you be able to edit it in the editor? Okay, here's an interesting question. When I do a request post, will it return draft post? Maybe there's a separate. Let's do a search for common commands. See if I get a response. Okay, so it's probably because it's in draft mode. So I probably need to tell it to include draft posts. So let's try that. How do I how would I make a WordPress REST API request to fetch posts and include draft posts? Let's see what Perplexity tells us. Authenticate with a user. Oh, you probably have to include status draft. Okay. So it looks like status any would return all. So let's add a status any. That does make sense. You would want to ignore draft post by default, so it makes sense that you would need to specify a status. So let's run that. Okay. So that's essentially what our tool needs to do. Our tool needs our search lessons tool needs to do that. It needs to query the lessons endpoint with the context and the status. And what I don't know is how you do that. I suppose you can pass. Okay, you can pass in routes, so it looks like we can do that. Okay. So what we need to theoretically do is register. See, and this is another part where I am confused, because it's easy enough for me to register the MCP tool using the register MCP tool code and pass it a REST alias. What I don't know is how do I register the feature and then make the feature available. I wonder if register MCP. Let's see. Does MCP have docs? It does. Okay, let's see. Register, 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 register. Register tools. Okay. Callback. I could specify a callback that calls a feature. That should work. Now my brain is wondering how. Okay, so let's go here. So registering features. Let's see what they say. Using features. Yeah, so you find feature by its ID. Feature call. Okay, so the first step is to register the feature. Let's register this feature. So we use WP register feature, and we can register features that are REST API endpoints. I've seen that somewhere. There, REST API endpoints. So the feature exposes REST endpoints. Oh, this is REST API for features. Okay, never mind. I saw this somewhere where it says you can REST alias. REST alias. If set to string representing a REST route, this feature will act as an alias for that endpoint. Okay. So we need to register the feature. So it'll be something like fetch draft lessons, because we want it to be status draft, or a specified draft. I'm going to make it very specific to begin with. So fetch draft lessons with the search as well. I don't know how to pass that in. Maybe it's good enough just to fetch the draft lessons and it'll then search. Post search is just the route to posts. Does it then handle? Let me see what post search did. So let's just go. What did it actually do? It actually sent those parameters. So it looks like if we specify parameters that we want to send, let's try that. Let's try that. I'm going to quickly make this a draft. Okay. Search for any posts in my WordPress site that are in draft status with the title doing this. Let's see if this works. Because if this works, then I don't need to do anything more than just register the tool. Oh, it looks like it actually does automatically. Now this is interesting. Is this the agent sending those parameters? It must be. Or is it? This is kind of cool. Like it knows what it needs to send. It's kind of cool. Because you know what it could be? It could be the fact that the MCP tool exposes all of the parameters somehow. Essentially, yes, it did what I expected it to do. It sent, but it did what I didn't expect it to do, which was specify the status, search for that title within the title only, and return that thing. So that means that I should only need to register the feature to the lessons endpoint, and it should be able to search those lessons. Now, I can do that as register MCP tool. I don't know how to do that with the feature API because the feature API is slightly different. Do I just register the feature as a REST alias and then call that feature as the callback for register MCP tool? This is the part that I'm still struggling with. I don't understand how the two work together. I don't have a code example where MCP plugin is using a feature. So that's somewhere where I still need to put some. Yeah, I'm not sure myself yet. So the way I understand it is you register a feature using the feature API code, and basically you say, for example, WP lessons search feature is search for lessons using the REST API. And then you register a tool called WP post search the tool, and you connect it to WP search post search feature, or whatever the case is. So I'm still needing to figure out how this all fits together. So what I'm going to do for now is I'm going to register the tool for lesson search. I've got 1 hour left. I don't want to spend too much time on this. I'm going to start with just fetching the lesson and updating the lesson. So I want a lesson search tool, and I want a add lesson tool. That's going to be phase 1. And then phase 2 will be figuring out content, if it's images or code or whatever. So that's how I'm going to start today. The other thing that I'm missing. So at the moment, if you need to register a tool, you basically do something like you add a tool here, and then in the core class, you call all the tools. There's no way to register this outside of this plugin. So I think what I'm going to do today is I'm going to fork this plugin. I'm going to create a branch for my lesson tools. Exactly. And then I'm going to share that with the folks who developed this at Automatic and ask them the questions that I'm asking today, which is, how would I do this in a standalone plugin? And how would I register the feature using the feature API and then register the tool with that feature? And then maybe we'll do that next week. Okay. So step 1 is going to be to do some forking. So let's go GitHub. Automatic. I think I might have forked this already. Yes, I have already. Okay, so let's go and find my fork of this. Let me do a sync quickly. No new commits. Okay, perfect. Then what I'm going to do, if anybody's watching this, this last hour was unbelievable time, but it gave me the idea of what I want to do with things. And that's sometimes how developing works. Sometimes you spend an hour figuring out what you're going to do before you write a bit of code. Okay, so let's deactivate this. I'm going to delete this one. And then I'm going to clone this guy into that location. Let's shut all this down. Okay, that's gone. So now let's go. Just quit over here and restart. Okay. Content plugins. Okay, and let's create a branch. And let's call it lesson support. I'll call it Sensei. I'll call it lesson support for now. I'll just call it Sensei support. Okay. Oh. Okay. And then let's add the tools. I want to check if this needs any packaging or anything like that. Looks like there is an MCP API, so that might be possible. I'll have to dive into that. Oh, maybe I can. Maybe I can just call. Actually, that's a good question. Let's just see here. Maybe I can just do this. Or I just need to include it. It's a bit all over the place. I wish there was a function that would just... Anyway, for now I'm going to just put it in the branch. I'll come back to it later. It's going to be too much diving in. So I'm going to write some code and then I'm going to share some code with the folks who developed this and ask questions. And I'll see what they say. All right, let's start by adding... Let's start by copying this. And let's give it a lessons tool. Lessons tools. We'll add that. And we'll just make some changes. I'm just going to make my life easy. Match case. Place all. Okay. All right, so we want posts to be replaced with lessons. Place, place, place. Yeah, that's fine. Add Let's update that in a second. Update, delete, that's fine. I don't need categories for now. Can always add those back later. Don't need tags either. Deleting code is a lot of fun. Come on. Don't need all of that. Why does it do that? Stupid thing. Okay. And then we just need to look for any instance of post and replace it with lesson. Post, lesson. Just replace all, it should be fine. Okay, so theoretically that should all be fine. Gutenberg is spelled with one T. Cool. Okay, so MCP lessons tools, and then in the, I think it's core, you register MCP lessons tools. There. Okay, that was what I was able to do last week. There's no like global function that I can call that does this for me yet. That would be nice to have something like that. I probably could, use the classes, extending it that way, but I want to dive into that right now. So I'm just going to do it this way in a branch. And let's see if that works. So let's go back to plugins. And let's activate plugin. Error. Okay, let's see what the error is. Automatic lesson tools not found. All right. Oh, I didn't probably use it up here. We did it after orders, reorders. Use. That should fix that problem. Okay, there we go. So now, if I go back to cursor, and I check my MCP tools, I should have some new tools. Yay! Lesson tools. Woohoo! Okay, that's cool. So now, let's see if I can find that tool. So now let's say find the lesson in draft status with the same title as this markdown. Yay! Okay, update the lesson with the content of the markdown file. Ensure, be sure to convert the markdown content to block markup, because it did this last week when it generated a post. So that's something that we could add to a cursor rule. So let's do that. Rules, user rules, project rules. So let's add a new project rule. Let's call it lesson creation rules. Okay, let's say always. And then let's say when creating lessons from markdown when, let's do it this way, when updating lesson, the fact that it jumps, I don't know why it jumps to that into that line all the time. It's annoying. I don't know if that's a cursor problem or it's a problem with one of the extensions that I'm using. Content from a markdown. Oh, that's so annoying. I'm going to just disable this extension that I think might be doing this. It's this one. I think it's this extension. Yeah, I thought so. The reason I know that is because there's some code in that extension that automatically jumps it to the next line. And it's something that's been on my mind for forever and a day. So that's why I know that was a problem, unrelated to this. When updating, let's say WordPress, when updating WordPress lesson content from a markdown file, make sure to convert the content to block markup in the final lesson. Okay, update the lesson content with the content. So that should just work. Let's go and check what's in WordPress and web service. Let's see. So let's go lessons. There's the web service lesson. I'm going to just remove this. Save draft. And then let's go. Let's see what happens. Update the lesson in WordPress with the content of the markdown file. Let's see what happens. I don't know why this is taking so long. Invalid parameter type for content. Okay. There's a bug in that. I seem to recall having something around this the other day. So I probably should look into that. Interesting. Okay, the lesson title, web service and draft status has been updated in WordPress with the content from a marked file converted to blah, blah, blah. Let's see. Let's see what it did. It worked. It worked. I'm pretty impressed with that. Okay, this can come out. This is because that's in the content. I'm not expecting that. It's fine. That's not an error. That's my stuff being weird. Okay, the one thing that it didn't do perfectly was it didn't take. So it did code blocks fine, but it didn't do code in. Oh no, it did. It's inline code. It's actually right. Inline code in this theme is different for some reason, but it's the right. Let me just confirm this. Yeah. Okay. That's perfectly fine. That worked. Okay. So this actually kind of went better than I thought it would. This is very simple content though. I'll be honest. It's headers. It's block. It's block code blocks. It's inline code. There's no images. There are no custom blocks, but this is not bad. This is, I would say, quicker than doing it manually because I've got to go find the lesson. I've got to open it. I've got to copy paste. So I'm pretty happy with that. So now let's try one command. So this is file structure, WordPress file structure. Wait, yeah, let's leave the site. So that one's just called file structure. So I wonder if it'll work if the title is not exactly the same. Let's see. What I also would like is, let's go back to our rules. Make sure to convert the lesson to block markup. Okay. I want to just have a look at something quickly. There was, in this feature API, there was some cool cursor rules such as formatting. Okay, important, and then okay, so I'm going to do something like this as well. Top. So I try to improve my cursor rules quickly. You are assisting with uploading lesson content to a WordPress site. The lesson content is stored in the local project directory in markdown format. The lessons are part of a course, Sensei, let's say Sensei course, Sensei course on the WordPress site. Okay. Then let's do something like, let's give it a bit of a header. Yeah, let's give it a bit of a header. Updating content. And then let's say there. And then let's go. Let's say updating content. Let's say, yeah, that's fine. Always return the, would it be, I want to get the URL. Yeah, the preview URL. Always return the preview URL when a lesson is updated. And then for this, I want to say when searching for lessons, the lesson title in the markdown file may not always be exactly the same as the lesson heading in the lesson title in the WordPress site. And the reason I'm doing that is because I want to see if it can find file structure. Because that one says the WordPress file structure and this one says file structure. I want to see if that rule can help it figure that out. So try partial. So if no match is found, try partial searches. The title. I feel like that's not going to work because this one says the WordPress file structure. It should actually be file structure. So it's kind of like a me problem. Like I should have updated my title properly. So I'm going to do that, make my life easier. I usually have the two matching. So maybe we need to add a rule for that. So maybe we need to say if a matching lesson in WordPress cannot be found, search for possible lesson matches. Yes, and suggest from the list to be updated. It's a good idea. So we'll do that. Okay, cool. I need to figure out what this does, what this is about, invalid type of parameter content. So I'm going to find out why that's a problem. I'm not going to do it today. But I'm going to let this run and see what we get. Okay, let's go. Update the lesson update the lesson with this lesson content. Let's see if it works. And that's the shortest prompt I could think of. Okay, it's doing the search. It's doing another search. Doing another search. It's just searching. Ooh. Interesting. It searched for file structure and didn't return a result. Because the lesson's in draft mode. Okay. When searching for lessons, search for lessons with any status. With status equals any. With status equals any. As lessons might still be in draft mode. Okay, let's try that again. I want this to be like the simplest command I can do. Update the lesson with this lesson content. Lesson search, get lesson, okay. Just calling get lesson a few times. Ha! I'm not able to retrieve its full details due to a temporary issue. MCP internal error. Critical error on the website. What? Okay, let's see what's going on here. Get query params. Uncaught error, call to a member function, get query params on array. Undefined array key context. So did search work? Search gave us some results. Get lesson started failing. Get lesson with ID that. Context edit. Now, why did that one fail? Why did that one fail and the other didn't? Not that one. This one did a lesson search. Okay, I specifically said in draft status. And then it found the lesson. And then it called the update. So there's a problem with the get lesson code. I don't know what it is, but there's a problem with that. Okay. So I wonder if we can improve the rules. Search for lessons with status any. Maybe that's the problem. Search for lessons that are either in publish or draft. I'm going to sneeze. Yeah. Draft status. Yeah, let's try that again. So let's say find and update the lesson with the content this markdown file. Maybe my prompt needs to be a little bit longer. Okay, lesson search. Get lesson. Get lesson's got a problem. Why does get lesson have a problem? I wonder if it's lesson. Let's have a look. Let's see what Sensei's REST API points are. I'm probably going to have to do WordPress Sensei. Please tell me they're documented somewhere. Hooks, code examples, they're not documented. Maybe integrations. Okay. Let's do it the old-fashioned way. Hey, Ryan. Getting errors on my site. Oh, the root lesson doesn't exist. Okay, so that wasn't that. So let's do that again. Okay, so there's lessons. So it is lessons ID. Try this. Is it the same? Looks the same. Should be the same. Yeah, besides the escaping thing, it's exactly the same. So why is get lesson failing? I wonder if I need to add a permissions check on get lesson. Shouldn't need to. I wonder if there's a problem with the get post tools. Get the post from the site with the ID. Blah. String formatting looked odd in the IDE. Is that because of the regex? I don't know. I copied this from the post tool and then just updated it. So it should be right. 56 to line 42. Well, that's the thing. It wasn't working earlier because we've never called. Yeah, there's a problem. There is a problem with the get post tool. So it's not my code. This is line 54. That one. It looks like there's a problem with the code that I pulled. Let's verify this by. It's never our code. It's never my code. Let's just confirm this by switching back to the, I think it's the main branch. No, hang on. Let's just, what branches do we have here? Trunk. Get checkout trunk. Okay, and let's see if, so let me just go to my settings, MCP, let's refresh this. The lesson should go away. Oh, I didn't, oh, wait. I didn't commit that code. Hang on. I didn't commit that code to my branch. Okay, so let's switch back to my branch. What did I call it? Sensei, get checkout Sensei support. Okay, new file, modified. Okay, cool. Get all. Let me just merge. Let me just commit this to my branch quickly. I don't want to push anything. Get checkout trunk. Okay. So now we should not have lesson tools. Yes, lesson tools are gone. Okay, let's try and fetch this post again just to make 100% sure. No, man. Back here. Copy. Let me just do a get pull. This just, I did check it out now, so it was the most latest version of the code. The most latest. That's good English right there. Get the post with the ID of that. Yay! It's not my code. Cheers, Ryan. Thanks for joining. It was fun for you. It was fun for you to be here when I was finding problems with someone else's code. I need to blow my nose after that sneeze. Give me a second, folks. Okay, so I'm going to have to list this as a bug in this project. And then once that bug gets fixed, then we can come back to working with lessons. But what I am going to do is I'm going to use, let me switch back to my branch. And let's commit that. That's committed. Guest pushes. New origin Sensei support. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this to ask some more questions around registering tools, registering features, because my understanding, so what I do understand about the Feature API is that I could, for example, let's go back to the code. In my own plugin, I could do something like this. So I would say register feature, my plugin name, lessons, whatever, tie it to the lessons REST alias. And then in the tool, I would find the feature and then call this. But what I don't know is, and I'm not going to make a note now, I'll come back to it. What I don't know is, how do I register a tool in my plugin based on the feature that I've exposed? So what I want to be able to do is have a plugin that supports lessons, for example, Sensei lessons. And the feature is the lesson feature, and it will use register feature and pass in the alias, like we did in the tool. And then I will register the tool based on the feature and then call the feature. That's the part I still don't in my head understand how that works. So I'm going to find that out. I'm also going to list this bug and hopefully get some answers around why that's not working. And then hopefully next week we can get the lesson, we can update the lesson using a feature and a tool in our own plugin. That's my eventual goal, my own plugin that uses this functionality as a dependency. And then after that, we do need a map. I'm gonna have to make notes somewhere after this, just so I remember where everything goes. What I am doing with these live streams, because I'm so interested in all of this, I am posting my sort of findings the next day on my team blog, in my team's internal blog, and then tagging certain people with questions. So that's what I'm going to do on Monday again, and then I'll have the thoughts and the things. But I'm quite excited about this because I like the other thing that I was thinking of is how cool it would be to register features for the site editor, for example, or for the post editor. So let me give you a simple example. I'm going to log into my personal blog quickly. I might be logged in already. Yes, I am. Okay, excellent. And I'm going to edit this page. And recently on my homepage of my website, I realized that the query loop block that I had at the bottom of the page just looked terrible. Okay, it looks a little bit better now. Not perfect, but it's a bit better. But I spent some time editing the query loop block. No, I want to be editing the template, not the page. I spent some time editing the query loop block in the template for my homepage. And I thought, wouldn't it be cool if there was a way that I could actually do this using AI? So I could say to AI things like I centered the title. So I aligned the title center. What else did I do? I think I made the images full size, but 16:9 aspect ratio. So basically all of these things, all of these settings, wouldn't it be cool to have them registered as features? So you could do things like go to the homepage template and change aspect ratio of the images in the query loop to 16:9 in your chat window. So that's kind of where I'm working towards, is exposing those features and then using them within AI. But I'm starting with something very simple, which is just adding content, just so I can get a feel around how all this works. But anyway, that's kind of that. I think that's what I'm going to wrap up for today. I have sort of next steps. I'm going to list that bug. I'm going to ask a bunch of questions. Essentially, that kind of is what it is, WP CLI with natural language, and it's similar to what other folks have done with WP CLI and AI, but without using WP CLI, which is the part that I find interesting, because it means that if you're working on a live site that doesn't have WP CLI, you could still interact with the site through MCP. So that's what's interesting to me. And you don't have to connect to the server to access WP CLI. You just do it from your chat window. So anyway, things that I'm playing with. But yeah, I will log those issues, and I will probably continue with this next week. And I hope by the end of next week I have something that is working. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But thank you all for joining me today. I hope this was an interesting live stream. I certainly enjoyed it. And you can catch the video on YouTube on Monday. Look out for the YouTube shorts that I've been making lately. I'm trying to make some shorts to kind of, I don't know, do things interesting. So yeah, keep an eye out for that, and I'll see you all again next week. Cheers.